Right. Good morning, everybody. People are just joining us at the moment, but we will make a start. So first off, we will introduce ourselves, and then we'll crack on with this session because we've only got half an hour. So I'm Claire Louise Chapman. I am the Social Impact Lead at Sir Robert McAlpine.
I'm Kath Howard. I'm the Social Impact Lead at Balfour Beatty Kilpatrick.
And I'm Paul Burns, Social Value Lead at NG Bailey.
Super. So we've co-produced this session and we are offering one-to-ones this afternoon. If anybody would like to sign up for any of those, we've got quite a few booked, but I think we have got some spaces and you can just send us a message anyway. So essentially the objective of the session is to give an overview of social value at quite a high level, because even though today is about the PPP framework, actually we felt it was quite useful for people to understand about how this is being approached across all public sector contracting. And then what we'll do is we'll then drill down into what that looks like for the NDA and Sellafield and the PPP framework. And we're very mindful to try and kind of keep this as practical as possible. You can kind of blind people with science. So Kath and Paul will be talking through some really practical stuff. And I'm sure that as we're talking, you will all be going, oh yeah, we do that. We all do that. Because I'm also a freelance social value consultant. So I work with lots of different businesses and everybody I ever work with is always doing some stuff, but we don't always recognize that that's what it is. So please do kind of use our expertise today, and chat to us if you've got any questions. There is a poll. If you could possibly click onto that poll tab at the side, and we're just asking you to, at the beginning of the session, just to kind of rate your confidence in what you're feeling about social value. Is it a complete mystery to you, or you just come in here to really understand how PPP is approaching it? And as you have questions, if you could please put them in the chat, and what we'll try and do is between us, we'll try and answer that. We don't have the opportunity at the end of the session to ask questions. Emma, it should be, there's a tab that says poll. Can you see it? Have we gone live with it? Anyway, just let us know if you've got any problems with that. And as I say, Kath will deal with that while I'm talking. Good. Top Nana. Right, okay, without further ado, I am going to spend 15 minutes or so talking through the slides about social value. I'm going to have to look to this slide because I'm going to have to click through. Right, okay, so what we're going to do is whistle-stop tour of social value definition, context and legislation, what it actually means, and then we'll look at that nuclear context as I've said. So to start with, my little flowchart that I use. So when we talk about social value, half the challenge is that so much terminology, and I wikied this the other day, and it basically said social sustainability is the least well-defined of sustainability, and it's like, you're not wrong, you're not kidding. And so we're kind of working in this environment where we're talking about social sustainability. I really like that because it's that pillar: environment, social and economic sustainability. There's nothing fluffy about it, there's nothing pink about it. It's metrics, it's very specific socioeconomics, which I'll talk through. We talk about it as corporate social responsibility. If you've got a financial background, we're talking about ESG, we talk about community engagement, and all of these things, we're kind of talking about the same thing. And it's like this kind of concept of doing good, actually creating positive change for people and places that we care about. So you will see lots of different definitions of social value and social impact, social sustainability. But what I want to talk about today is social value as defined as the government, the methodology that the government is using in this country to buy social sustainability practices through contracts. And that's a very specific process. It is a methodology, there's guidance. It's not a dark art. It can be learned, and you'll start to see where things that you're already doing are fitting into that structure and that methodology. So the background of this, I haven't got an awful lot of time to get into the detail of this. If anybody's interested in this in more detail, let us know, because we're quite happy to do some kind of slightly more in-depth workshops on this if there's a need and you think that it would be valuable. So basically, the background to this is about 10 years ago, the government passed an act of parliament, and it was very little, and anybody that's seen it, it's only about a page long, and it was, to be brutally honest, kind of slightly ignored by quite a lot of people, because basically that act said, really, the government as an accountable body to us as taxpayers should be thinking about more than pure economics when it spends our money. And it should be thinking about that socioeconomic, social impact that spend can create for people and places. And that's all that act said, is that you should consider it. And then what happened is, back in 2020, it kind of got toughened up with a procurement note. So procurement notes are the directives that tell governments that they kind of should be doing this. So there was a procurement policy note that came out, and that note changed the landscape. And that note is pretty much why you're probably sitting listening to me talking at the moment, because that note said that central government departments, and it's recognised that there's about £60 billion of annual public sector spend across lots of different supply chains, which is why you might be seeing it in areas other than Sellafield, because the government's been told that they should be doing this. And basically that procurement note said you have to ask a question or a series of questions with a minimum evaluation weighting of 10%. So that's not 10% contract value, that's 10% of the evaluation of the tender. Okay, and that is your social sustainability question. Okay, so suddenly it became integrated into work winning, and a lot of people kind of went, whoa. And what happened at that point is that there's something called the social value model was created. And the social value model is the guidance for public commissioners on how to ask those social sustainability questions, how to actually structure and evaluate. This is all in the public domain. We can read it. It's the cure for insomnia. It's, it's fab, but we know what public commissioners are being told to do. So suddenly, this is a methodology. As long as we're canny about this and we understand what that is talking about, then we can work with this, and we can make it as easy as possible for those people who are reading our responses to actually give us top marks, because they go, all right, okay, this person knows what it is that we're working with. So very quickly, so basically, we've got this minimum evaluation weighting. What we're actually seeing in practice, if anybody does anything with local authorities in particular, we're seeing this evaluation weighting actually being pushed up, because public sector is saying, actually, we recognise the value of this. So we're seeing it being pushed up to 20%, and some cases quite a bit higher, but that's not unheard of at the minute. And so the really key thing to take from this is that it is contract specific commitments. It is not we do brilliant things. It's if you win this contract, what are you specifically going to do to address social sustainability and create positive impact? How will you measure it? How are you going to tell us that you're doing it? Okay, and it's relevant and proportionate to the size and type of contract. So it's about your skills, your staff, your communities. Okay, so this is the thing to remember. So in a nutshell, because I haven't got a lot of time, what we're actually talking about is what's called socioeconomics, and the NDA has been doing socioeconomics a long time, so I'll talk about this. But it's jobs, and it's about local jobs, sometimes, not every contract is about local jobs, but when we're talking about PPP, we are interested in West Cumbria, the old areas of Allerdale and Copeland and Warrington. It's about skills and this representation and opportunity and how we see progression in our workforces. We are in a technical sector. We are underrepresented by women in senior leadership. Generally, a lot of us just in numbers as well. So, you know, that's a particular challenge for our sector. So when we talk about that relevance, this is relevant for our sector. If we were in healthcare, we probably wouldn't be having those conversations, particularly, well, gender representation at top level, yes, maybe. But if you think about it, it's the relevance and proportionality for what we do in manufacturing, engineering, construction solutions. Spend. How are we spending locally? How are we spending with small businesses? There are some specific drivers coming through from the government about SME spend, the SME spend agenda, which as SMEs, creates an awful lot of opportunity. Then we've got our community engagement activities, which is what we tend to just jump to when we think about social value, but you can see all of those other aspects. So we've got the things that we do as organisations and then our outreach activity, and both are equally important. And then we've got this environmental piece, because social and environment, they're not two separate things, they are interconnected. Carbon is not going to reduce itself. We need to motivate and inspire and give people the systems and processes to reduce carbon in our workplaces. And that's just carbon. We don't even get into biodiversity. So you can see, but I do an awful lot of this in an awful lot of different sectors with an awful lot of clients. And I've never really seen anything that does not sit within these 5 areas. I see some random stuff, I have to say. I see some questions sometimes where it's actually easier to turn the page upside down because the question might make more sense. But generally speaking, I don't really ever see anything that sits outside of this. Okay, and that's the lovely, it's like herding cats is social value, to be honest, because different commissioners are coming at it from different ways. But once you understand that it's about this stuff, and you take that step back and go, what can we do in our organisation to address these issues? You're kind of going to start nailing it, really. So I will come on to, I'm really running through this because I want to spend time, give these guys time to talk about the practicals. So when we think about how the NDA is talking about those constituent elements of social sustainability, they've been doing socioeconomics for an awfully long time, before the Social Value Act, before PPNO 620. Okay, so they've already got their own strategies, but it's really interesting that when you look at the new NDA strategy that was launched this year, it's got these 6 elements. So sustainable incomes, it's jobs and skills. Resilient economies, it's about spend. You know, business growth. Thriving communities is the community aspect. Sustainable growth, which is brilliant that this is in there, is about those environmental impacts. And then 5 and 6 are about the way, the way that we deliver this. And you can see that they're saying it's really fundamental that we involve the supply chain in this, and that we are working together for that collective impact. And I would just like to say it is so lovely that I have 2 colleagues from different organisations sitting next to me doing this. Is just cracking, and I think it's the future, and I love it. And if we can work together with supply chain and we do this together, then yes, it'll be ace. Okay, and then we get to the Sellafield 6 social impact multiplied strategy, and they are those themes. And so what Sellafield's interested in, that local element, they recognise the impact that they have economically and socially in West Cumbria, and to a lesser extent in Warrington, and it's to do with the reliance of a single employer. You know, if we think about Barrow, we have the same system with BAE. You know, and up at Doonray and places like that, it's where there's one big employer that has massive impact on a local community level. So check out 6, check out the NDA. If anybody wants any links, we can send you links to social value model. Seriously, there's so much more information than you ever wanted to know. And then we've got it's worth us just referencing this Together for Good. platform that Sellafield has just launched, which is about where we can get our volunteering. And volunteering is a key element coming through from Sellafield, and to be honest, across social value. I'm seeing it definitely in other areas as well, but it's really intrinsic to the way that Sellafield is working and the PPP framework and what we will be requiring as key delivery partners on that framework. So have a look at it, register, have a bit of a play with it, really, trawl around the system. And that is, thanks, Emma. I love it when people are actually listening to me. It's a change, is all I can say. No, only joking. Right, so at this point, I'm going to pass over to Paul, who's going to talk through some practical examples.
So the two examples we've chosen from Bailey's are our work with Northside Community Centre and the initiative called Class of Your Own, where we have sponsored a school in Maryport called Netherhall School. Northside is a small community just outside of Workington, and this is their community centre, and it best described, I think, as a DIY SOS. A number of issues, both electrical and plumbing and maintenance, needed to be undertaken on the centre just to keep it open and let it support the community, which it currently does via a food bank, youth centre, job club. It is a real focal point of the little village. And for us, it allowed people to experience volunteering for the first time and actually see the difference that they were going to make to a community facility. And it's been really rewarding to see my colleagues, and potentially you see it with your own, giving back and then seeing the difference that will make. And for us, we are just completed our second visit. So in total, we've probably given about 35 days in volunteering to the centre, and we know we can give more. And we know going forward that with our supply chain, we will be asking for you guys to support us in those days. And we believe it offers a real benefit to not only the centre, but to your workforce as well, and the idea of increased well-being and emotional attachment to the work they're doing, because they can see a difference, and we've got evidence to support that as well. So hopefully, should we work together in the future, we'll see you at similar events. The second Class of Your Own is something very specific to NG Bailey, and that's looking at sustainable incomes. Class of Your Own delivers a recognised qualification within the school in design, engineering and construction. It's a very vocational qualification. It's allowing children to see the art of possible, to understand that when we say construction, we don't just mean bricks, joinery, electrical, plumbing. There is QSing, there is planning, there is design, there is a raft of careers, both within NG Bailey's or Sir Robert McAlpine's or within Balfour Beatty's, that we need to start engaging with people now to try and influence their thinking. And the course is delivered by the teachers themselves with the guidance and the curriculum supplied by Class of Your Own. And we act as an industrial partner to that. And that allows us to spend time with the children, really listening, really helping them understand what they could do once they leave school. And for us, in this instance, what's key as well, it stops the butterfly effect. The notion that we turn up for a school to deliver a session and then disappear and we're never seen again. But actually, we are a presence now within that school. We look to deliver at least 6 sessions a year, and we actually want to increase that number as well going forward, because we receive real value in that relationship, in that ability to help students reimagine their future, and from a community that maybe they don't see something for themselves, but actually we know that we can offer a genuine link from that school to possible careers within our apprenticeship scheme, our graduate scheme, and then further on into our trades. So again, the ask going forward would be that our supply chain becomes part of our days there, that we can increase the number of organisations they're seeing, the different skills they're seeing, and allow them to see just how far they can go once they choose to leave mainstream education.
Yeah, and if I can just jump in, and this idea of this collaboration and this co-production, that's what we're really keen on. So, you know, I know Emma's been posting in the chat, but, you know, Emma, you came to do some training on our Sir Robert McAlpine STEM bridge. We've got this massive bridge. It's about 13 meters long, and it's like, well, I can do some stuff with it, but actually, it would be super cool if our supply chain were interested in getting involved and helping deliver those sessions. And we're modelling opportunities for SME organisations. It's not just about coming into work in our organisation. It's actually about the sector in its, you know, its entirety, and it builds those. And it is. That is so much more impactful when we work together. So, and we're all, as KDPs, we're all looking at this, aren't we? About if we're doing something, and also it makes it easier for everybody. You know, we're not all just doing our own thing. And when we're talking about that social impact flow down through the supply chain, it's about can we have a collaborative program of activity. That is not stopping anybody doing their own thing, though. If you've got super ideas and you've got good practice that's working elsewhere and it's transferable into this location and there's gaps, you know, we're not duplicating provision, then absolutely fantastic. And to find that out is just basically a process of asking, isn't it, really? So I'm going to pass over now to Kath. I'll just put your slide on, and Kath's going to talk about some different examples.
Yeah, hi everyone. It was really difficult actually picking examples, so we've worked together as a team to try and pick out something a bit different. And today I just wanted to briefly talk about Chapter 1 reading programme and also creating careers in Cumbria, which is about adult work experience. So first of all, we, as part of PPP and working with our other KDPs and our supply chain, many of us became involved in this national online reading programme called Chapter 1. And what happens is we recruit volunteers across our supply chain and from within our own businesses to undertake 30 minutes of reading and games to do once a week during term time with a 5 to 8 year old. And that runs from autumn to July. And well, why do we do this? Well, first of all, statistics have shown that 40% of 11-year-olds from disadvantaged backgrounds are leaving primary school unable to read at the expected standard. And what that means is they go on through the rest of their secondary school life always trying to catch up, which makes it even harder for them. Statistics also sadly show that 1 in 5 children between the ages of 5 and 8 don't own a single book at home. So this platform through Chapter 1 provides stories and fun games and activities that are level appropriate, and they're designed to increase comprehension, vocabulary, but most importantly, confidence of these young people. There is a cost for each organisation to get involved, and it's around 3,400 per annum, and they require us to take at least 10 volunteers. I think across PPP, we're well over the 200 volunteer mark. So that's 200 volunteers plus who are doing this virtual programme right across West Cumbria. So all you need is 30 minutes every week in your diary between the hours of 9:30 and 3, plus a laptop and a phone and a willingness to engage with a young person. And that is about helping them to develop their skills, their confidence, which hopefully has a positive impact, not just through their school life, but into their careers as adults as well. So the second bit that I wanted to talk about was about creating careers in Cumbria. And the reason that we got involved in this was because it was just that work experience with a bit of difference. We all get asked about work experience for young people at school. All the schools run work experience weeks, and we're asked by young people to become involved. However, we also wanted to look at where there was areas of real disadvantage. And one of the issues we came across was about adults who were unemployed, who really did want to work, but maybe needed that extra little bit of helping hand. So on the photo there is Christine and John, and the programme is delivered by Morgan Sindel in West Cumbria and in tandem with Inspirer and the Outward Bound Trust. So we interviewed and took on John and Christine, and we worked with them for about 6 weeks within our office base up at the business park. And John was particularly interested in detailed work, so we got him involved in the financing and the invoicing, which was really playing to his strengths, and he did a really excellent job there. Christine was a former graphic designer and didn't quite know where she wanted to go next. So she accompanied me on social impact visits, working in schools, working in communities, but she also worked on our newsletters and produced our social impact news letters to go out to all staff. There was a real confidence boost, I think, to both of them, and that's what they fed back to me, was they felt a lot more confident. They'd had an insight into careers and into jobs that they'd never even thought about before. And sort of as a postscript to this, Christine went into paid employment after leaving us, and John is on a secondment with one of our partner KDPs, which is fantastic news. I think for me, what was really, really important was, like I say, we've got people who are unemployed in our communities who really do want to work. They just either haven't found the right role for themselves, or they've had a change with careers and not quite sure where to go next. So I think by taking on adults into the workplace, we have people already with skills coming into our offices, and they just need that bit of helping hand. And this 6 weeks work experience can do that. So really that was, for me, two of the projects we've been involved in. But we've also, as Claire Louise and Paul have said, we've worked together across as KDPs. And one of the projects that was on Together for Good was working with a local community group who needed some polytunnels and a yurt building. So I put a call out to Paul, an NG Bailey staff joined Balfour Beatty Kilpatrick staff, and we did 2 days work on site, got the yurt built and all the framework for the polytunnels.
But the other nice thing on that is that I remember you put a call out because you needed a digger driver at the last minute, and then I put a call out to our supply chain, and it was Lawson's, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah. We actually had, through our various connections, and this is where it works multiplied, isn't it? Through our connections, we got the digger off one of our clients, Sunbelt, and then we got the digger driver off Lawson's and dug the trenches that we needed.
So it was just that, it's just that connectivity, isn't it? It's just really nice. And then, you know, if we know where it all fits and people can claim their, you know, so that's it just working really nicely, isn't it? So
we haven't got long left, but I just wanted to mention one thing, because I noticed that Emma put in, so thank you, Erin, for that about the undertaking the work. And Paul, I know you've had some comments there about some of the great stuff going on, including the skills boots camps. But also, Emma, you mentioned about Maryport. So one of the things that we're doing through our work streams of working together with PPP is looking at adopting school clusters as well. So we'll be focusing a work across the KDPs and across our supply chain that really reaches into all of our communities. So not one community is ignored and left behind.
That's great. we were going to give yes, Emma, we'll talk rebuilds. If anybody's not come across Rebuild, please check it out. Great community organisation that Emma Porter's very involved with.
I think we've got 1 minute and we've got one more slide, have we?
Oh, have we?
Which is the
my screen's gone up.
Can you see if it? I don't know. We can't see if it's moving forward. But basically, the Supply Chain Sustainability School does run webinars and events and training in both environmental sustainability, but also social impact. And they're really useful. Some of them are just 1 hour session introductions. Some of them are a bit more of a deeper dive.
Yes, and I think Poppy has put the link into the chat as well for the other Supply Chain Sustainability School resources, which are great. So we hope this has been useful. It's been a bit whistle stop. hopefully it's given you some ideas. Anybody want to chat? I know we've got one-to-ones moving forward this afternoon. But yes,
quick
just
poll if anybody can fill it in as well, just to see whether.
Yeah, just that second poll, just to see whether it's been useful this session. We recognise it's been quite brief, but thanks for attending, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, brilliant.
Thank you.